Hi friends, it's Mari here from Honeybee Stamps. I'm going to be creating this card for you today, and I'm going to use the gorgeous Lovely Layers Wildflowers die set. This was released a few releases ago, and it is absolutely one of my favorite Lovely Layers florals. I'm also going to use the Adventure Awaits paper pads. This is such a stunning paper pad, and I'm also going to use the amazing Dogwood Blooms 3D embossing folder from Honeybee. I'm going to show you right away here the impression that I got when I ran this through my die cutting machine. It is just the most amazing impression that you get and pattern on your paper. So here you can just see that gorgeous texture that's on my white paper. I have this size down to an A2 size card front, and I'm just going to go ahead and adhere this on with my Honeybee glue tube onto my A2 size top folding card base. And so now that I've got that all adhered on there, I'm going to take this stunning paper from Adventure Awaits, trim out a little strip that I'm going to use later for some embellishing on my card. Now I've got all of the dies from that Wildflowers die set on some white paper. I'm going to run that through my Gemini 2, and now I'm going to add color to all of these different die cut pieces with my Distress Oxide inks. I'm starting off here with Warm Lipstick and this beautiful bloom from the Wildflowers set. I'm going to colorize all of the different bloom areas with that Warm Lipstick, just really ranging the pressure on my Honeybee blending brush here from heavy to light, and in that way I'm going to get some lighter and darker areas. I really wanted the edges of the petals to be darker and just creating that little bit of light and dark in that way. Now I'm going to just finish up these petals, and then the little part that goes on in the center of the bloom, I'm actually going to add some blacks to that, and that is just going to create this really nice sharp black center for my flower. I'm going to leave the last little piece there for the center of this bloom white, and that will just finish off the bloom portion of this. Now I'm going to add some greens to the stem and the petal areas of the leafery or the foliage part of this bloom. I will list all of the Distress Oxide inks that I'm using in the description box below, but I'm trying to just use a variety of light and dark inks for all of the foliage on these different blooms, just to create a little bit of darker ink around the edges. So starting off usually with the lighter color of green and then going in with a darker hue around the edges, just to create that little bit of depth and dimension in the ink blending. Super easy to add color to all of these die cut pieces. You could also die cut these from colored cardstock if you choose. I often go to the ink blending method of colorizing my lovely layers. I just find that I just really like the range of color that I can get with my ink blending inks and tools. So there you can just see this is super easy to assemble. All of the lovely layers dies I find are super easy. The little pieces are all shaped in a way that you can very easily see how they go together. And so I'm just going to finish off the center of this little guy with that white bit. And now I'm going to go on to this next floral. Love the combination of these colors. I believe I started off with Stormy Sky here for kind of like that little bit of gray blue. And then I'm going to go in with some, I believe this is chipped sapphire. It's hard for me to see the lids when I am doing the voiceover, but I do believe this is chipped sapphire. You should be able to see the color on the lid of that container there. But I really like the way that darker blue just adds that little bit of extra shading to these little blooms. And now I'm going to go in and add the green. Now I'm going to add the green to the base. I added a little bit of blue to the base as well where the blooms go, but you can just see that I overlapped the green on the base of the little blooms as well, where the little bottoms of the leaves overlap with the blooms there. And now I'm just using a combination of light and dark green, and now I'll be able to assemble this one. So again, just using my liquid adhesive. All of the little blooms on this one are the same, so it's really super easy to figure out which bloom goes on which layer. And you can just see here, just adding a little bit of liquid adhesive to each one of these little pieces so that they will stay adhered on my project. And you could actually use a little bit of foam adhesive on these as well if you like that even more dimensional look. And I'm just using my craft tool here to help me pick up those different pieces and put them into place. And now you can just see how pretty that one is as well. Really gorgeous. Now this is my last one. I'm going to start off with the greenery here on this one. Again, using a brighter, lighter green to start and then going in with a darker one. And just using my smaller blending brush to add the little bit of dark. And there's really no rhyme or reason to where I'm adding the dark on these. It's just kind of to add that little bit of shading. So I'm just going to clean up my area before I go in with my next color. And I wanted to use a different color of blue combination on this blue as opposed to the other one. So here I'm using some Tumbled glass, which is just a really pretty lighter blue, almost kind of like a sky blue. And then I'll go in with a darker blue to add a little bit of detail around the edges on this as well. Just really love that combination of the blue and green together. I think it looks really pretty. And this is just the brush that had that little bit of chipped sapphire left on it. So I'll just go in with that chipped sapphire and add that to the Tumbled glass. Really love that combination. So pretty. Now the center piece here, I wanted to add a little pop of black on this as well. So I go in again with the black soot and add that really nice contrast of black as well. And this is my finest little tiny honeybee blending brush that I'm using for that. And now I'm ready to start to assemble this. So again, I'm just going to use my liquid adhesive to adhere this together. And there is one tiny little piece that goes in the center of that black center of the flower, and I'm going to actually just leave that white as well. So I'll just find that on my desk. I'll put a little bit of liquid adhesive in the center there and then just pop that little white center into the center of my flower, and that's going to finish this bloom off as well. Super pretty. I love how the colors coordinate so nicely with the pattern paper that I chose for this card. The pattern paper was definitely the inspiration for the colors that I used. And you'll see how nicely they coordinate once we get this pattern paper and the flowers adhered together. So I'm going to just put this in the lower third, more of the lower half of the card. And that's going to leave some area for my flowers. I thought I might use some twine on this card. I don't end up using it, but I did want to add a couple of really thin little strips of black paper on top of that pattern paper, just to create a little bit of a black border and bring out that black again, which I have used on a couple of the florals as well. So I'm just lining that up, just getting that all glued on there, and just really using a tiny little bead of liquid adhesive to adhere down these little black strips of cardstock. And there you can just see that creates a really nice frame on that patterned paper, really nice contrast. Now I really wanted to add a wax seal onto my flowers as well. So I'm taking some of the Happy Hearts seals here in the green color, which coordinates really nicely with the green that I've chosen for the foliage on my bloom, on my flowers. I'm putting that into my little melting spoon here over my little furnace, and I'm going to melt up those wax bits. And you can see that I'm using my mat as well from Honeybee Stamps to create my wax seal. So this mat is fantastic. It gives you a silicone surface to put your burner on. Now you can just go ahead and put your melted wax in there. This is the heart stamp that I have. I will link up to all of these different things that I've used in the description box below. And now I'll just go ahead and put my burner away. I've blown the candle out there. Now you can just lift up this mat and just push on the bottom. It pops that seal out perfectly. And now I can add this onto the front of my card as just a beautiful embellishment. So I've got my florals adhered down to my card, and I did kind of put them over to the left slightly to leave room for my sentiment. And I did pop up the blooms on some foam adhesive, so they are a little bit dimensional. And then I've added the wax seal on there with my Honeybee liquid adhesive. I'll just press on that so that it's really well adhered. And now I've got it covered, the seal covered up. I'm just going to add a little bit of white splatter to this project, just for a little bit of extra texture and interest. Now I'm using the mini messages from Honeybee Stamps. This is an amazing sentiment set. This set is a must-have for your stash. It creates the most amazing little sentiments for a project, and I did also use the coordinating mini messages banner dies to create a little banner sentiment for my project. So I'm going to pop that up on a little bit of foam adhesive. I'll take the backer off there, and there you can just see the little spot that I left for that little sentiment. Now I'm going to just adhere that using my tweezers to get that into place, and that's going to finish off my card. Friends, I have linked up to all of the different products from Honeybee Stamps that I've used to create this project. Make sure you check out those links and all of the amazing products in the Honeybee shop. I'll see you again soon, friends. Have an amazing day. Take care. Bye-bye.